Outdoor activities are one of the few things that people are actually able to do safely. And so hopefully you all had a good opportunity and to enjoy yourselves going out and taking the photos that you're going to be showing us today. Normally we would be doing this in person at the Trust Visitor Center, and we're having to do this, of course, by Zoom this year, and I appreciate everybody for putting up with that and attending. Before we go any further, I'd like to start out by introducing our judges. So our two judges this year, the first judge is David Harrer. David, as you all may know, is owner of Larman Photo. He's an experienced photo contest judge for a number of organizations and has been kind enough to do this for us for many years running, and we greatly appreciate his being here and helping us with this. Our other judge is Christina Ortwein. Christina teaches art and photography at Bryn Athyn College, and we're grateful to her also for providing her expertise in the judging. And we'll be hearing from both of them later when we show the photos. I also want to introduce the photo contest committee who organized this. So Fran Brown, Harris Brown, myself, I'm Peter Gunnis, Ernie Koch, Allison Larson, David Rosenthal, Kevin Roth, and Chris Mendel, who's our executive director, have all participated actively in the planning and organizing of this contest. Now, this year we have two new things for the contest I just wanted to tell you about. The first is we had a new category this year for newcomers. So we're always trying to encourage people to join the contest, and we thought it would be helpful to have an award that was just for the newcomers in order to feel that you have a new opportunity to participate. So we have 4 newcomers this year participating, and we're very happy that you're here and hope that you find this a good experience and will continue to participate in the future. The other new feature is that at the end of the show, before we do the Directors Award, we're going to have a short educational session. In the past, our judges have mentioned that they might enjoy, and you might enjoy, the opportunity to have a comment on a couple of the photos that did not win in order to help us learn a little bit about how we might improve our photography. So I did put out a request for volunteers this year. I wasn't going to impose this on anyone. And fortunately, quite a number of the contestants did agree to let us do this. So I did pick 2 images, which I thought were both good images, meritorious images, but didn't quite make the final cut. And to just ask our judges to tell us what things might have helped them make better photographs, make them be something that might have had a better shot at winning in the contest. I personally am always learning from photography, and I think in the past people have always gotten a lot out of hearing the judges' comments, and I think hopefully that will be helpful for us as well. Usually in past years we've had a print show also where the contestants could print their photos and show them at a show. Most recently we were doing this at the Visitor Center. Last year, we were not able to do this because of COVID pandemic regulations. This year, we are hoping to do it. As you all know or may have heard on the news today, by the middle of this month, they're going to open up for vaccinations for everybody. It's going to take 2 or 3 months to vaccinate everybody. On the other hand, we are at the beginning of another surge. I don't know how bad this is going to be. So our goal, hopefully, is to have some sort of print show either at the end of the summer or early fall, but we're not quite comfortable being definite about it until we see how things go with vaccinating people and how things go with the infection rates. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and as soon as we have definite information about that, we will let everybody know. And then finally, before I go on to showing the slides and the judging, I do want to take a moment to be philosophical. So the hardest thing about having a contest is that some very good photos are not going to win prizes. And it can be quite painful, and I can certainly tell you this from personal experience, to work very hard on preparing your beautiful image and then not see it win a prize. There's an inherently subjective component to judging, and this is just unavoidable. Before announcing the winners, I'm going to be showing all the images, and I do invite everyone to appreciate all the beautiful images whether or not they ultimately do win a prize. And you may have your own opinions about what you like the best. If we were meeting in person, I would even encourage you to let other people know how much you enjoyed their images. But I do see this as an important part of the contest, to let everyone see and appreciate each other's work, and not just to focus on who won and did not. And I think that's in the original spirit of the contest that Jared Alden founded a number of years ago. So with that, I'm going to go on, and we will now see the first category, which was landscapes, and I'll be showing you all the photos. Okay, so those are our photos. So we'll go on now. And the first award in this contest is an honorable mention for this photo from Shiloh Silverman. And I'd actually like to ask Christina if you could just tell us what you liked about this photo. And is Christina unmuted?
Okay, am I unmuted now?
You're good.
Okay, I said all the intelligent things already. No, I love the way that the colors in it are stunning, and the way the light is just glowing from the middle and it's sort of held in by the darkness of the trees. The way the stars are even captured in the details in the sky is really incredible. It looks sort of otherworldly. It almost looks like, I wonder where that light is coming from, and what kind of time of day this was and everything. I just think it's gorgeous. It seems very clear. I love the little detail of the sign in the foreground there. It gives it some sort of context of it being in the Pennypack, and anyone who knows that place knows that sign well. And I just think it's gorgeous. It's very rich in depth of color and detail.
Thanks. And congratulations to Shiloh. Third prize is this image by David Rosenthal. And I'll ask David Harrer to comment.
I really like this image. I like the perspective. Initially, I was a little bit concerned about what I would call a divided center of interest. And that is my eye going to the home in the upper left-hand corner, and then down to the two figures in the lower right, each sort of draws my attention, going back and forth between the two. But the more that I really thought about that, the more I felt it sort of made the photograph. And so that's why I selected it for an award.
Thank you. So David, congratulations on this photo. Second prize is this image by Maria Wozniak. And I'm going to ask Christina to comment on this one.
I can't remember which ones won the prizes. I haven't looked at that for a while.
We're keeping
I think
this
one may have been my favorite one. I think that the composition of it is very, the balance of it, to have the trees so way off to the side, and it's slightly wider than the normal aspect ratio of a photo, which I think the just extended horizontal landscape is really beautiful in this. The lighting is what steals the show for me. The richness of the light on the yellow grass and catching that white tree against the dark background. It's always so sweet when the sky is dark and the thing in the foreground is illuminated. I think it kind of reminds me of like an African safari almost, with that dry grass, and the clarity of the trees. This is so simple and really well composed, I think. So clear.
Okay, Maria, congratulations on this. And then the first prize, it's also Maria Wasnich, and I'll ask David to comment on this one.
This was one of my favorite photographs, again, with the very horizontal aspect ratio. There was one little touch, which is maybe difficult to see in your computer screen, but at the very center of the photograph, there's a little blue object in the background. And often when you have something like that, it draws your attention away from the rest of the photograph. But everything else was just so compelling and so good compositionally in terms of technique. And so I had to overlook that tiny little thing and give this an award.
Okay, Maria, congratulations on that. The next category is images of water. Despite the fact that Pennypack is a creek, we actually didn't have too many entries here, but we will show these now. Okay, so the awards for this, for third prize, goes to Heather Robb. And I'm going to ask Christina to comment on this photo.
This one's just gorgeous. It's the texture of the rocks in the foreground with the that moss on it and the richness of that color, and then the sort of layering back into the distance within the gloriously white water movement, and then repeating the green in the way background. I just love the extension into the distance of this photo and the clarity of it all. And again, I really appreciate images that aren't your standard shape when it helps. And in this case, I really think it does help. It kind of creates that great distance and sense of space in it. And it's just so capturing the beauty of all that natural stuff. You can almost smell it. Anybody who loves the Pennypack knows how it smells, and I can smell this photo. It's so clear.
So Heather, congratulations. Second prize is to this image by Lisa Moore, and I will ask David to comment on this.
What I really like about this photograph is the very muted background in terms of both the shades of color, the detail, which makes the duck stand out so well. Compositionally, it's excellent. I can't imagine the duck being placed anywhere better. I always like to think when you have an animal or an object that has a sense of motion, that you have more in front of it. So swimming toward the right with more room on the right, I think helps compositionally, and just overall, it's very, very pleasant to look at.
Lisa, congratulations on this one. And first prize is this image by Shiloh Silverman, and I'm going to ask David to comment on this one as well.
Yeah, I remember this well, and it's just a very striking photograph. You can see the interplay and relationship between the woman and the horse, and sort of a bond that's created there. And then again, the very muted background that just complements all of the subject matter in the photograph. So it's just good technically, it's good compositionally, and it's a very interesting subject.
And Shiloh, congratulations. Next category is macro photography, and here are the images. Okay, and the awards. Third prize goes to this picture by Paige Morahan. And David, I'm going to ask you to do this one as well.
I remember this photograph very well also. And what struck me about it was all of the interesting shades of green, and yet the subject stood out well against the background that was nicely blurred and out of focus, as well as it being compositionally very, very attractive.
Paige, congratulations on this. Second prize is this image by David Rosenthal. And I'm going to ask Christina to comment on this one.
Oh, I just love this one. I love macro photography, and I think every little hair is showing up on this thing. The detail, the composition of it being set off to the side, nice balance of out of focus depth of field on the right, and the color of it so stunning. Bold yellow against the sort of earthy tones of the rocks. It's just so crisp and clear, which is you just have to have in macro photography. It has to be perfectly in focus, and this one is, and it's just gorgeous. Very well done technically and artistically.
David, congratulations on that. And first prize is this image by Shiloh Silverman. And I'm going to ask Christina to comment on this one as well.
Oh, good. I love this photo. It has so much character, which I just love. It's like, it could be an image from a children's story or something. The snake is so approachable. Some people hate snakes, but this snake is just made so endearing in its kind of expression, and the depth of field that's going on is so sweet. The light on it is just amazing. The way the background is also dark, but the light is just falling perfectly on the snake, and the eye is just the thing that's exactly in focus. You just couldn't ask for a better setup on this one. Really great.
Shiloh, congratulations. Our next category was birds. This was our most popular category. And here are the images. Okay, those are the images, and now we go with the awards. And the first award is honorable mention to David Rosenthal. And I was going to ask David to comment on this.
Capturing any bird in flight is always a challenge, but in this case, not only did the photographer do that so very, very well, but the sharpness, the muted background compositionally, to seeing some of the tree branches, they just sort of swoop from the lower left up into the right, and I just think that complements the action that we're seeing in the wings, and just it all works well together.
Hey, David, congratulations. Third prize is this image by Jim Hay, and I'll ask Christina to comment on this one.
This could easily have won first prize as well. It's just stunning. I love this photo. This whole category was just actually by far the hardest for me to judge, because there are some really amazing moments. This one is like to capture that launching moment, and it's launching out toward the camera, and then that the red eye is so sweet, the glint in the red eye and the clarity of it, like to be able to capture that amount of focus on something that's clearly, mid movement. And then, it was a little distracting at first to have all the busyness of the branches behind it, but I kind of like that. I like a photo that's not that you kind of have to explore for a moment. It's not visually obvious, and when you take a minute with this photo, you see how much detail and greatness there is in the bird, and that kind of is like discovering it, lost in the busyness of the branches. But the depth of field helps with the clarity there as well. I love this photo.
Jim, congratulations. Second prize is this photo by David Rosenthal, and I'm going to ask David to comment on this one.
Again, everything is done just so very, very well in this photograph. The detail, the lighting, a background that doesn't conflict with our subject, and all the elements of it work to make it worth second prize.
David, congratulations. And first prize is this image by Shiloh Silverman, and I will ask Christina to comment.
I'm really vibing with Shiloh's things. I don't know who, when we were judging this, we don't know who they are, so I still didn't know who any of these were. So it's definitely feeling your mood, Shiloh. This is so great. The little fluff on the tips of the ears, and it's just slightly offset to the center. It's like leaning just a little bit into the frame, which I really appreciate. And again, just the colors, the simple background, the detail and the feathers and fluff, and just the crispness of the eyes and beak is so sweet. That's, and the closeness of it, to really get that close to the bird's face is really fabulous.
Shiloh, congratulations on this. Next category is wildlife. This is basically everything except birds. And here are the photos. And the awards go to, the first is third prize goes to David Lamb. And I'm going to ask Christina to comment on this one as well.
Well, as I said before, I'm just a huge fan of macro photography, and capturing, a wasp or whatever this is in motion is so great. And the softness of the background and the color of the sort of matching red-green, the wasp versus the background is really great. And I love that it's sort of offset to the top corner. And the flower is really beautiful. Everything about it so crisp and clean. And I just have to say, in this category, there are just some unbelievably great captures. And sometimes it came down to like whether stuff was in focus or not, because there's so many of them were really fabulous. But when you capture it in perfect focus, that's just the sweet spot. And you got it here, which is so great.
David, congratulations on that. Second prize is this photo by Sandra Miller. And I'd ask David to comment on this.
What I like about this photograph is the naturalness of it, of the deer being in its natural habitat, looking through the branches of the trees at the photographer. Maybe would have liked to have been a little bit less on center for the head of the deer, but everything else works so well that it's worth the prize.
Sandra, congratulations. And then the first prize is this image by Shiloh Silverman. And David, I'll ask you to comment on this one as well.
Mm-hmm. This too is just so well done. The detail, the photographer's ability to capture this little fox, perhaps running toward it. And it fills the frame nicely. How often do we get to see a fox this close? We have a couple that live somewhere in our backyard, and I keep trying to find them and never been able to, and would love to see the ones that I know live there in real life. So this brought that memory, or not a memory because I haven't seen them, but it brought it to mind. And I just thought it was so very well done.
Shiloh, congratulations. The next category we called a different perspective. This was a little bit of a broad category. It allowed people either to use their creativity in processing the photo or just looking at the world in a different way. And these are the photographs. And the awards go to third prize, this image by David Rosenthal. And I'm going to ask David to comment on this one as well.
I like the very natural appearance of this. While it lacks a really strong center of interest that I think helps many photographs, but certainly isn't a requirement, it's just the soft feeling that you have through the muted colors, no strong sunlight and shadows, just overall the same sort of texture, I would say, throughout the photograph. I like too the fact that we have a little more of the fence in the foreground and then gradually working back left to right into the background. It all works nicely.
David, congratulations. Second prize is this image by Maria Wozniak, and I'll ask Christina to comment on this one.
I think this is beautiful. It's, it looks kind of like veins and arteries, and that, that thing that trees do where they have the break between them all along the tops is appearing here. And this is a category about perspective, and I really appreciated this perspective of looking up, which is something we don't often think to do with the camera in our hand. And I like the simplicity. I don't know whether the picture actually is black and white or if it was a very gray day, but I like the choice of making it very, turning it something that's super muted in color. It sort of abstracts it, which I appreciate this one a lot.
Maria, congratulations. And first prize is this image by David Lamb, and I will ask David to comment on this one.
What I liked about this photograph was, first of all, the perspective, having just a very small part of the foreground and the lower part of the picture, which then gives us a sense of feeling of looking back into the distance. And then we have the declining sun shining through the lower left, and that's balanced very nicely by the two birds on the upper right. And so I like to look at a photograph and find that my eye roams around within the photograph without really having an opportunity for an exit. And this just holds my attention and my eye looking at the foreground and then up into the sky and the birds and then back down again.
And, David, congratulations. Our last award here is the Newcomers Award. So we wanted, as I said, to have something that people new to the contest could enter and, basically to welcome you. And I will show you the entries. We had 4 people who were new and who entered this category. And the first winner, third prize, is Heather Robb. And I'll ask Christina to comment on this one.
This is just a gorgeous view of the under that bridge and the intersection of all those lines and the moving in from the foreground where you get those little bits of rocks and the trees coming in from the top to the midground, which is underneath the bridge and the bridge itself, and then back into the distance. I just think all those layers of interests, and it's almost sort of geometric, and a combination of man-made and natural things all interacting, and it's so clear and the colors are gorgeous, all that, lots of good stuff going on.
Heather, congratulations. Second prize is this picture by Joe Ebert, and I would ask David to comment on this.
Again, I'm really impressed with the composition and the ability of these photographers to composed so well, eliminating extraneous things that might show up in the background, being sure that a background is muted, that you don't have something that detracts from the subject, and the perhaps late afternoon day where you have very warm colors, and that's reflected well on the subject. So it's just very good in all aspects, plus being an interesting subject that few of us have the opportunity to see so close.
So congratulations. And then the first prize is this image by Jonathan Goldman. And I will ask Christina to comment on this one.
Oh, good. I'm glad I get to comment on this one. I keep thinking about this photo ever since then. I love this photo. It's my favorite one of the group. The whole contest probably. I just think the colors in it are amazing, and the richness of texture in the horse, in the foreground, the fur, the darkness versus the light fur and all that's going on there, and then all the colors just go so well with the background as well. And it's just weird. It's just such a perfectly gorgeous and unexpected cropping of a horse. And it's just very artistic to me. It makes me think, it makes me go, hey, what? Oh, it's a horse. And then you just get involved in the colors and textures of that and the gorgeous background. So I really like this photo. I put it on my wall.
Jonathan, congratulations. And again, we thank all the newcomers who participated, and again, hope we will see you all next year as well. Now comes the daring part here. We had two pictures that I've selected out of a group of daring volunteers who agreed to let our judges look at a couple of the pictures that didn't quite make the cut. But again, I thought they were meritorious photos, and was going to ask each of the judges to review one picture and then tell us maybe how we could have done a little better, and hopefully all to learn from this. So the first picture from the landscape category is this one, and I asked David to give us some insight into this photo.
When I'm judging a photograph, there are three areas that I give great consideration to: technique, composition, and subject. Obviously, when it comes to subject, it's more difficult to be totally objective because we all have our likes and dislikes. One of the things, though, that I look for in composition is not to have a sort of a devised division that's pretty much equal between foreground and background. When you do that and they're almost equal, it reduces that sense of depth looking out into a photograph. So if this were mine, the first thing I would do would be to probably eliminate about half of the grass area that's in the foreground. That would throw foreground to background more off balance, foreground being about a third of the photograph, and then looking up into the trees and the sky being 2/3. That would give a much greater feeling of depth than looking back into the photograph. The other thing is, if this were mine, I would probably want it to be horizontal. The human eye, we visualize things very much on a horizontal basis. Our vertical view of things in life is very, very narrow compared to our horizontal. And so also, this is a landscape photo. And so I just think most often they are better presented in a horizontal format unless there's good reason to make them vertical.
David, thank you. I think that's very helpful comments. And this picture from our birds category, I've asked Christina to give us some insight into.
Well, it's hard to criticize. It's really a great photo. It makes me want to say all the nice things about it. I particularly am fond of the way that the color of the bird's head is mirrored in, the flowers in the background. I think with the problem with the bird category was there were so many incredible ones that were turned in that it, had stiff competition. But if I was going to give some pointers on it, I think the main thing would be, I don't think it's perfectly in focus on the head, and you want that's the sweet spot, right, on the face of the turkey. And I think that it probably wants for some cropping. I like that to have the space, David mentioned earlier about moving into the space, and so the turkey is moving into the open space, but there's a lot of green around it that I don't feel is necessary. And if you cropped in, you could make the turkey a bigger part of the thing. And you can't control this, but lighting is so important. And I feel like the light is all falling on the background and the turkey is not. it's in dappled light that is kind of not highlighting the sweet parts of it that you really want to see. The face and the eye and all those glorious feathers are kind of lost in a little bit of haze and not perfect lighting. So it has a really great diagonal kind of line that's going with the turkey across the frame, which I think is really great. And the lighting is mirroring that, and the shape of the purple flowers in the background are mirroring that. So there's a lot of really good things going for it. But I would say, try and get the light right on the turkey, try and make it perfectly in focus, and crop it in just tighter to, make it a little more full in the page. But it's good.
Christina, thank you for that, Christina. I think that's very helpful. And I particularly want to thank the photographers who volunteered to let us look at their pictures. It's not always easy to have people going over your things with a fine-tooth comb, but I think it's helpful for all of us, and it's greatly appreciated that you're all willing to let us do this segment. So the final category here was the Directors Award. So this is the award for the photograph that exemplifies the mission of the Trust. And it's chosen by our director, Chris Mendel, partly based on the merits of the photo, but also on what the photo tells us in terms of understanding what the Trust is about, what its goals are. Normally, Chris would be here to comment on the award, but he had a scheduling conflict. But I will be commenting on it in his behalf from a note that he sent me. So the Director's Award goes to this photo by David Rosenthal. David, congratulations on that. So Chris sent me an email, and I'm going to just read his email of his comments. I don't think I'll be able to match his eloquence, but I will do my best. So Chris says, David Rosenthal's Yellow Jacket Wasp is this year's Director's Choice Award winner. The macro lens automatically changes focus away from the typical targets and towards celebrating what's close at hand. The macro lens easily focuses on the stunning color and beauty of stamens and pistils, water droplets, and butterfly wings. But the wasp, however small, is still a pariah. For beekeepers, it is a pleasure to inform casual observers of the complexities and ingenious design and behaviors of Apis melliflora, that being, of course, the common honeybee. Little facts about bees can have atom bomb impact that shatter people's misconceptions or break open new hemispheres of thought. But the wasp, even to many beekeepers, seems to be a monumental threat to peace and civility everywhere in a very tiny package. David's portrait of this exquisitely designed animal is more than an invitation to examine her softer side. It's a realization that she has merits all on her own, regardless of our petty fears. Before this image, did you know that she bristled with fine molasses hairs, or has 5, not just 2 compound eyes? How does an exoskeleton look so clean and hygienic? And the context of this image is even more earth-shattering. She appears to be weaving a galaxy of stars, or maybe just walking on water. One thing is for sure, we don't appreciate this animal and her context nearly as well as we should. While we shudder at the sharp decline of songbirds throughout the world, their sad story is really just a symptom of our loss of insect populations and diversity. It is class Insecta, the frontline bridge between plants and the animal world, that's truly being victimized, substantively suppressed and harassed to the detriment of ecosystems around the planet. My hat is off to this photographer who finds beauty and interest in what is too often maligned and willfully dismissed. If whales and gorillas spur you to give to the World Wildlife Fund, which insects will spur you to give to the Xerxes Society, the Society for Insect Conservation? This picture urges me to ask you to think about what you can do for conservation at this trophic level in our ecosystem. So again, thank you to David Rosenthal and congratulations. And thank you to all the photographers for making this a success this year and for contributing and for giving us all your many beautiful photographs, not just the ones that won, but all the other ones as well. So that's the end of the contest. If anybody has any questions or anything about any of the information I gave you and you want to ask it on chat, that would be fine. Otherwise, I hope to see you all next year. And again, thank you to our judges.
Yeah, thank you all. That was amazing. Nice job to everybody. we'll definitely be using a lot of those for some of our programs and social media and things like that. Just thank you all. I know many of you send me photos throughout the year, like I said in the chat. So thank you for sending those. And yeah, it's just refreshing to see all these at once and having all of you in one place. If anyone does have any comments, feel free to shoot them in the chat and we can have a talk. If you want to put your video on, feel free. Otherwise, if there's no questions or anything, I'll probably just end it here. If I don't see any questions in the chat, just a lot of thank yous from everybody. Is everyone seeing the chat?
Yes.
Jeannie said it best, I think. Such a fabulous event. Thank you for putting this on for the committee and the judges and all of you photographers. Yeah, especially the newcomers. Thank you, newcomers. It was nice to have you guys here, part of the community. Awesome. Well, with that, thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording and end this now, but looking forward to seeing all of you back out on the trails and at some of our programs. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Peter, for hosting. From here, all of us here at the Pennypack Trust, thank you, and we'll see you guys on the trails. Happy spring.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.